Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. So that is the entirety of the stuff. I want to start. We're going to go step by step. Obviously, we're going to start with the big one. Portland sending Dame Lillard to Milwaukee. By the way, did I not say that he was not going to go to Miami, by the way?
You did that. But I mean, that's where everybody had it going.
And I kept telling people the reason why he's not going to go to Miami is because when you go and say it's here or bust, how many times has that ever worked out for the player?
Oh, never.
Almost never. The only time it ever happened, the only time that I can honestly remember was when Kevin Durant was traded from Golden State to the Brooklyn Nets. And the only reason Golden State did that was because Kevin Durant was going to walk, and they're like, we need something. So if you just sign with us, we promise we'll send you there. So Damian Lillard to Milwaukee. Tony, this move does nothing for me. It doesn't. Listen, with this trade, they're still the second best team in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it didn't really elevate them to this, to this upper echelon that everyone thinks this did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if anything, maybe if you want to try to hype it up, I mean, maybe this will mean that Giannis can finally get through Miami, which is weird to say. But other than that, I mean, it's a big name, and Giannis was kind of bitching like a petulant child, talking about, I need more help, when they literally given this guy everything. So I guess in terms of that, Milwaukee is kind of appeasing to him. But Damian Lillard to the Bucks, listen, solid. I understand the logic, but this does not tip the needle because they were still the second best team in the East. And I don't know. Tony, am I bugging?
No, I mean, I get it and I don't. I get it because, like you said, Giannis was wanting a number 2 so bad. And to be honest, I mean, from Dame's perspective, Dame just wanted help. Like, Dame just wanted any type of help that he could get, honestly, at this point. Like, that's where Dame was at this point. The thing that I would say, too, that kind of goes along with this is I really don't think it tips the scales. And I also want to see now, how does Dame work with, but basically he's the number 2. Like there ain't no doubt in it. Like Dame isn't really old, but you've had to carry a franchise like Portland for as long as he's had to carry him. Like you old, like you are. It just is what it is. Now, like you said, I don't necessarily see it tipping in the favor for Milwaukee when it comes against Miami, and that's mainly just because of the depth that Miami has. Like whether or not people want to consider Jimmy Butler a true number 1 or not isn't really doesn't really make any difference because of how much of a true role playing group this is as a team. Like they don't have to have a number 1 to be able to beat you down defensively. And honestly, as long as Jimmy Butler has even a average game offensively, they're still probably going to beat you.
Well, I listen. I do think that this trade helps them in terms of playing against Miami. Mm-hmm. And that's just because in Miami, they play half court and Giannis is a detriment in any half court set. Like if Giannis can't get a running start, the dude is a walking detriment. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this a lot. So I understand why they did it. This move to me honestly just felt like them looking at Miami. Yeah. I swear to God, like I said, this move does not help them like that against Boston. Because respectfully, I think Boston still wins. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then what other team really would this move be for? The Knicks? The Pacers, respectfully?
Nope.
Philly? I mean, they were already better than Philly and Toronto before this.
Yeah.
So to me, it just felt like we're just trying to beat Miami because Giannis is a detriment in any half-court set. We can't run half-court with this dude out there unless we put him at the 5 and let him chill in the paint.
Yeah.
But then he can't really play with his back to the basket consistently, so he's still a detriment.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, you're saying that Giannis would be the one respectfully? Does he really need to be?
I say yes, only because of the fact that how often, especially the last year, has Dame really been around for Portland. Not only that,
you're right.
Here's kind of the other crazy part is they're getting rid of Drew Holiday, who Drew is 6'5", 205, and they're getting Dame, who we could definitely argue is significantly more talented, but he's also 33. Well, he's 6'2", and he's 195. So you not only got basically the same age, but you went smaller in who you're getting.
For me, it goes, you sacrifice defense for offense.
Right.
You looked at your roster and said, we are more comfortable with having Chris Middleton be the end of game defender. If the person who's got the ball is a guard, we're more comfortable doing that and bringing in Damian Lillard than running this back.
Yep.
That's what honestly this just tells me, which I think is weird, but to each their own.
Well, it's not only weird, but can we just ask the Brooklyn Nets how well it works out to just have this mentality? Let's score more offense than they can on us, and then hopefully we'll win. Because that's what that reminds me.
A little bit, but I will say I do think they still got defense. So I do think you are in a position where you could sacrifice some of the defense you have for an offensive guy. And also, let's not make it seem like Damian Lillard doesn't play defense. He tries. He's not good, but he tries though. He'll go out there and actually put an effort.
Well, it also hurts, and again, it's no disrespect to Dame. It hurts when you're a small dude on the court. Right.
Ask Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm 6'3" and 190. He got 5 pounds on me, and I got an inch on him. I'm still a small dude if I go out on the NBA court. Yep.
No, you're right. You're right. Now, and that. Oh, go ahead.
Now I do gotta ask you, Brian. Do you feel that Milwaukee is in the moment right now where they feel that they got to basically put all their chips in? They feel they got to at least win one more because they don't feel that they're going to be able to keep Giannis, whether that's financially or Giannis is going to be like, actually, you know what, F this, I want to leave, I want to go somewhere else.
So this is where the conversation starts getting tricky, because the reality of the situation is that, let's say for the sake of this argument, they go and do their part and they get him help and they don't win. Mm-hmm. To who does Giannis blame? Because the reality is every time he sells out, I've never once heard this man say, put it on me. It's always, we got to do better. It's not, I'm out here going 2 for 12 and then scared to touch the ball in the second half. It's never that. It's, we got to step up. We got to do better. And is that what Giannis is going to do again? Because if let's say they make it to the Eastern Conference, because this move right here, regardless of what I think about it and what you think about it, Milwaukee's not making this move if they don't think it makes them a legitimate contender, not in the East, but in the entire NBA. Yeah. Milwaukee doesn't make this move unless they think in their minds, this puts us over everybody in the East and in the West. But to answer your question, the reality is Giannis going to take accountability for him selling out? Because if Dame is out here averaging 32 in the playoffs and Giannis is scared to touch the ball looking like a petulant child and they lose in the semifinals, who are you going to blame? So I think that's what because again, Giannis just asked for help. Milwaukee, ever since they brought this kid in, has given him everything he wanted. His brothers are dog shit at the game of basketball. And they wasted 2 roster spots for his brothers.
They say you
And they
beat
are
me to it.
dog shit.
That's what I was getting ready to say. If you're Milwaukee, at what point? And it's funny because I'm going to kind of compare this to Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. At what point do you not look at it and say, look, yes, we have an extremely talented player. We know we can go so far, and they've been able to win at least one championship with both. But at what point, like you pointed out, wanting his brothers on the team, at what point do you not look at this and say, look, man, you either got to give up as far as keep your brothers on, like keeping your brothers on because they are not contributing anything to the team. You're just doing this purely for family.
Right.
Or we're gonna have to go part directions, and they either need to stockpile picks, they need to make a trade for somebody else, they need to do something. Like, do you think Milwaukee needs to kind of give him like the Aaron Rodgers treatment? Like, look, man, we've done everything we can with you. We're going to trade. We're going to try to get as much compensation for you as we can.
So if I'm Milwaukee, I sit down with Giannis, and the first thing I do with Giannis is we ask him, when is the last time we did not give you help? That's the first thing I'm asking Giannis. When is the last time we didn't give you help?
Well, and what does he consider help?
Because that's another thing.
Because I guarantee he's probably looking at it as, basically what other big name superstars have you tried to go out and get for me? And again, I would kind of make that argument of, okay, well, if you want the LeBrons to come play with you, you do realize we're going to have to give up at least half the roster and draft picks to be able to get somebody like that to be able to come here. And, oh, yeah, we still got to financially compensate him on top of that as well as far as contracts go.
And here's also the reality, too. With Giannis, I mean this with the harshest amount of disrespect. The stupidity of Giannis is something that's unmatched. Really is. It's really unmatched because you're begging for help. The organization gives you help. He claims it's not enough. But the reality is they've had a good team. It's Giannis himself that's selling out, but he doesn't want to admit it. And like you said, a LeBron is not going to want to play with him. A Steph is not going to want to play with him. Kevin Durant won't want to play with him.
And not only that, but I mean, heck, look at, in all honesty, and other players have to look at it in the fact of, okay, how many of these like superstar mega teams have they tried with, 3 of the top guys in the entire game all on a team? You give up your bench, you give up pretty much any, significantly valuable depth that you may or may not have to be able to fill in. And, oh yeah, by the way, now this guy is hurt. He's got to sit out for a little bit. So 1 or 2 of you guys then have to carry. And like you said, LeBron's not going to want to play with that because, okay, now not only does LeBron have to try to go back and be LeBron in year, 12, 13, and 14, but, now Giannis has to also try to put up, points. And if you're looking at somebody like LeBron at this point in his career, you're like, no, I also want to go win a championship. I'm not trying to come in and fix a mess on something that I would have potentially done, 15 years ago. I'm not trying to do it now in year 21, 22.
Right. And again, like I said, man, the problem with Giannis is that, and I'm not trying to be, I don't even care if I'm being wrong. I don't give a shit anymore. The reality, bro, is this move is just this was just meant for Miami. That's all it was. That's all it was. Giannis can't shoot worth a lick. Man has been in the league for how long? Imagine if any other player was the same stagnant player. Imagine that. Doing the same thing over and over again. No improvement, no nothing. Dude plateaued 4 years in the league.
What different?
You like what do we do? How do you plateau before your rookie contract expires? The fuck? What are we doing here? That's not. Trust me, it's not going to help at all. It's not. This is just it's a sideways step at best. Milwaukee got faith in it. Bless their heart, genuinely. Bless their heart. They're really going all in just because Giannis went to New York Times bitching like a petulant child. And then guess what? Guess what they're gonna have to show for it? Guess. Nothing. Because in 2 years, Dame is going to be gone.
Yep.
Giannis is going to cry more. He's going to be gone. No rings to show for it. And then Milwaukee's going to be looking like a boo-boo the fool when they got Bobby Portis as their best player. But nah. Super team. Twitter out of control, man. Twitter got to stop. Twitter got to stop, bro.
I mean, do they, though?
Nah, Twitter, keep going. Keep going. Yo, CJ Stroud is top 5 in passing yards?
Yes, sir. He's actually doing a lot better than, honestly, what I thought he was, not just because he's from Ohio State, but honestly because he's on the Texans. Wow. Like, he's actually balling
Didn't
out.
the Texans just hang 40?
They got real close, yeah. On Jacksonville, nonetheless. In Jacksonville.
I think it was Jacksonville that I think they hung 40 on them.
Mm-hmm. Made the Prince look like a bum.
I'm fact checking myself before I get carried away. Damn, 37. Wow, but still.
Real close. Field goal away.
But we got rid of the Buck side of it. Drew Holiday was sent to the Portland Trailblazers in this trade. However, immediately, because I maybe a little later we'll talk about DeAndre Ayton, because for DeAndre Ayton, for me, the jury's still out. I want to see how he plays in Portland, because I feel like he started great in Phoenix. They kind of turned their back on him, and I think that's why he was playing the way he was playing. So before I say anything, I want to see how DeAndre Ayton plays probably like the first month of basketball before I say anything. But Drew Holiday, immediately, Portland said, oh, we're trading him. Like, we're going to try to trade him, and if it doesn't work, we're going to buy him out. Where do you think Drew Holiday goes?
I honestly don't even know. This is going to sound crazy, but honestly, it wouldn't really surprise me. I could honestly see Milwaukee, depending on how this goes, like you said, first month and a half into the season, if it's not really working or they got an injury, how much you want to bet he comes back to Milwaukee?
Well, here's the thing, though. Because they're saying that they're going to trade him immediately. Like, he's not wearing a Trailblazers jersey.
Right.
Supposedly, they're making it seem like they're going to get rid of it, and if not, they're just going to buy him out. Which, I get it. For me, I think there's a few teams that make sense for Drew Holiday. I think there's quite a couple.
Sorry.
I think the first one is, in my opinion, I think Boston would be a great place for him, because all you're really doing, because now you're swapping Marcus Smart for Drew Holiday.
Right.
Which Drew Holiday does a lot what Marcus Smart does with better shot selection.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of understands, hey, I'll chill over here. Another place I think he would actually thrive infinitely better in, Philly. I think if you put him in Philly, you're kind of taking a little bit of the pressure, obviously, off of James Harden. He can continue to just be he can just straight up be a point guard.
Now that's under the assumption, though, that James Harden even plays for Philly.
Well, I think he does. I think he does. He has to. Yeah, because now he's like French kissing. He's French kissing this dude. Daryl Morey.
Okay. Yeah.
He's French kissing Daryl Morey now.
Last time I heard, he was still salty, and then it was like.
So he was, and then he went on. Like, the thing is, here's the wild part, right? Here's the wild part. He refuses to, like, publicly apologize. He refuses. So what he did was, to make it up, he put an Instagram, a thing on Instagram, kind of showing him getting off the plane and dapping up Daryl Morey. That was his version of an apology. Now I retract my statements. Now I'm sorry. Not my bad, bro. None of that. It was just a little 10-second clip go down the stairs, daps him up, and that's it. That was his apology. Bless his heart. So I think I'm not gonna say he wants to stay in Philly. I'm not gonna say that, but I think he's willing to grind it out for a few months to see how the season starts shaping out, and then B, he's probably more willing to wait to the trade deadline.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that honestly might be why like James hasn't apologized though, is because
Right.
Because I mean he more likely still feels that way. I mean we saw how quickly he was jumping. Like look, no, I can't stand this man. I don't want to play in Philly no more. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And he probably did. He probably said, Daryl Morey probably said, look, man, here's what we'll do. You play for the first couple months. Let's see how we're at. Let's see what we're doing. Then if we can get you a trade and get you out and we get compensated and you go where you want to go, let's do it. But just hear me out one last time.
Right.
And that's probably why he hasn't publicly apologized. Now I will say too, though, if what James Harden is saying is true, with he's not living up to his word, he's not keeping his expectations. If that's been the case the whole time you've been in Philly, what makes you think it's going to be any different now?
But also, let's also talk about why he said what he said. Like, let's stop pretending that for some unknown reason that he pretended, oh yeah, he really did lie to me. No, he didn't lie to him. No. He wanted to make a deal with the Clippers, and the Clippers were trying to get James Harden on pennies for $1.
Which
Daryl Morey. Go ahead.
Well, you can't blame him.
I can't blame him, but I'm also not going to blame Daryl Morey for going, hold on, timeout. I understand he had a bad year, but I'm not going to give you him for nothing. Like, you're out of your mind if you think that.
Right, yeah, no, I don't blame either side on that one.
Right. So, I think another team who should also consider getting Drew Holiday, if he's comfortable staying in the West, the Clippers.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers would be a nice place. The problem is, though, you're going to have to make sure that you get rid of somebody off, like because they're deep when it comes to the guard position. They're deep, so they're gonna have to drop somebody. Mm-hmm. Whoever it is what it is. But that's one thing.
Well, they're probably going to have to rely on him pretty heavily because, I mean, Kawhi, you're going to get Kawhi for what, 25% of your games, if that?
Well, no. Because with that new rule, he's going to play more.
You think so?
He has to.
He's going to have to. I didn't know there was a new rule implemented.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, so you're basically like a star. You can't sit more than, I think you can't sit 2 or more stars at once.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And a star is someone that they said he was either an all-star or made an all-NBA team in the last 2-3 years.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming the exception to that is, like, obviously if Kawhi, like, blows his ACL, PCL, and MCL all out. Like,
oh, right. No, 100%. Yeah, if he gets Joe Burrowed, then, yeah, they're going to leave him alone.
Right. Okay.
Right? If he turns into RG3 and his knee literally explodes, that's fine. But they're trying to take a stop, like load management. It's basically what they're really trying to like crack down on. So it's not really them. So I'm gonna just read it real quick. So you can't rest no more than 1 star player, and then this is what a star player is defined by the NBA. It's someone who's been an all-star or an all-NBA selection in any of the past 3 seasons.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, so like 3 years ago, you made an all-NBA but hasn't done shit since. You're still technically a star. You have to make your star players available for the nationally televised games, so like those primetime games and the in-season tournaments. You got to balance the number of 1-game rest absences, which is basically like when you rest for a game or whatever. Mm-hmm. With the recommendation that the player sits out more often at home, since that's where they play more games.
Right.
basically refrain from any long-term shutdown when a star stops participating in games or only appears in a materially reduced role that can affect the integrity of the game. So basically, you can't just shut them down just because you're planning on trading it. Like you gotta still gotta roll them out there. And then obviously, if they're healthy and even if they're resting, they still gotta come out.
Right.
Like they ain't gotta be dressed up or whatever. They could be in street clothes, but they gotta be out there. Like even sitting on the bench or whatever.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that they're doing. And then the penalty, the first penalty is like what, $100,000? Yeah. So it'll be $100,000. And then the second offense will be $250,000. And then after that, it increases by $1 million per violation. So God bless them. God bless them. Tony, the Suns are the favorite in the West, right?
That's what they say with KD.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's KD's show, and oh man, who's the? I mean, he's literally off the top of my head. I can't remember his name.
Devin Booker. There it is.
Devin Booker. I mean, it's the KD and Devin Booker show. But I mean, because here's my thing, like, and even for people that either hate Chris Paul, don't really have a matter of opinion or whatever, the fact that you had realistically, let's be honest, you had 4, you could argue, top 30 to top 25 players in the NBA currently, with Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, KD, and Devin Booker, all on the same roster. Now, like I mentioned before, you had absolutely zero depth. Your depth was dog water, a bag of Lay's chips, and meat was your depth.
Right.
And you got destroyed. I haven't really seen Phoenix do anything, nor do I think with any of the trades and potential picks are they still going to be able to have enough to, again, overcome if KD is going to be there, how healthy KD is going to be. Now, I think Devin Booker is going to be fine. But I do kind of wonder, too, now that we're going to be a couple years removed of Chris Paul truly having like a actual mentorship and him playing at a high level, now that he's gone, how does Devin Booker either take on that role, or does KD even try to take on a mentor role, or does KD just do KD things?
So I just want to say one thing, just real quick. I just want to throw it out there. Jimmy Butler is kind of saying stuff about the tampering or whatever. Can someone tell that bitch to shut the fuck up? Because wasn't he the one starting all this shit? How the tables have turned, you piece of garbage. The fuck up. Nah, I hate Jimmy Butler. Yeah. No. Bump that. Yo, how the tables have turned. Or how the turned have tabled. That's what it is. That's what I'm going to start saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, man. Like, so in essence, the Suns basically got rid of DeAndre Ayton for Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson, right? I do think that they got depth now. I really do.
Okay.
The problem, and if I'm crazy, let me know. But the reality is they still have zero rim protection. Because Nurkic cannot defend the rim worth a lick. And he's basically going to be your starting center. Because right now, how everything is looking like, Nurkic is probably going to be your starter. And the reality is I'm looking at a team that, okay, that's fine. You know, put KD at the 4, maybe at the 5 if you want to do the small ball stuff. But the reality is, like, everyone is like, oh my God, they're deep. They got this. It's like, no. You're making a mistake. You're saying they're extremely deep because you're comparing them to last year.
Right.
So if you're doing that, it looks like You know what I mean? It looks like that they're stupidly deep, but they're really. I mean, it's not over the like. Again, you got a solid lineup, right? You got a solid rotation, so I'm not gonna poo on them, right? Please understand, I'm not gonna poo on them. Right. But this notion that the Phoenix Suns are like over the top deep, I don't subscribe to that at all. I don't subscribe to that in the slightest.
Because part of me too wonders like what their chemistry is like. Because even as much as I want to hate on a team like the Lakers, you still got LeBron, you still got AD. Austin Reeves absolutely balled out last year, kind of out of nowhere. And let's be honest, this whole entire Lakers team after that deadline trade is like, wait a minute, where did this Lakers team come from? So you still got to deal with Lakers. You've got we'll call them a quote unquote revamped older Golden State team that you still have the big three there, so you're still going to have to keep Golden State in mind. You do have the Clippers right in your own backyard, who on paper should still be competitive. Then, of course, you have Memphis, who's also in the West, with Ja that you have to deal with. So, I mean, we're looking at the Suns being potentially maybe the fifth best team right now?
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. No, I wouldn't go because you said the Lakers. Who would you have above the Suns right now?
Lakers. Honestly, I would put Golden State. And I only put that because I would say a core of their team are not only they've been together for a while, but they have the experience. So I mean, I would put Golden State above them.
All right. So right now, the Suns are third. Who else?
Yeah, I don't really feel comfortable trying to put Memphis up there yet. And
even with John Morant, I wouldn't put Memphis up there.
No. Yeah.
Even with John Morant, I kind of cooled off a little bit on Memphis right now. Like for me, like I said, I'm not trying to say that they're not deep. It's just this notion that they're stupid deep and it's beyond relief. I don't subscribe to that because I think that's ridiculous, right? Yeah. Obviously, they got Devin Booker. Obviously, they got Bradley Beal and they got Kevin Durant.
Right.
The reality of the situation is something you brought up that was very, very intriguing. Devin Booker. We have seen him play point guard in increments, but he's not a point guard. I'm not saying he's a bum, but he's not a point guard. So the longer he plays, the more he reverts back to who he is, a scorer. He's going to want to score the ball. Like, how many times have we seen them get absolutely destroyed, but he had a good game, so he's out there smiling.
Right.
He just wants to put the ball in the basket. That's all he wants to do. So I'm very curious to see, can he play point guard for a long stretch of time? Because he's going to have to. Because Bradley Beal can't play point guard.
Right.
He can't play point guard. Kevin Durant can't bring the ball up because he's shown you when he's got to put the ball up, his assists, they plateau, but his turnovers go up. Mm-hmm. And who else are you going to have bring the ball up? It almost comes down to Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Now, again, Devin Booker has been kind of learning under Chris Paul. So it makes sense. But can he do this for a long period of time? Because the reality is KD is going to get his fair share of ISO plays, and so is Bradley Beal. You got to do that with Bradley Beal because respectfully, if he doesn't do ISO plays, in this offense, he's going to be extremely limited. He's not a defensive ball stopper, so you can't just roll him out there for defense.
Yeah.
Right? So when you import him, you have to give him his fair share of his own plays. Same thing with Kevin Durant now. Because Kevin Durant, let's not act like he's a bum. KD can go get you 30 on 14 shots.
Oh, 100%.
Even though the math don't math, but lick my nuts, because that's what he can do. Right?
Well, no, you got to think about it. Maybe he drops a couple threes, gets a couple layups, a couple free throws here and there. The free throws really was going to get it.
Free throw merchant. But, I mean, for me, I think right now, obviously, this does put Phoenix third. Now, for me, it's a close third. because I got the Lakers number 1 right now.
Mhm.
I have Golden State 2 in the West and the Suns 3. However, with Golden State, I know they got the core there. I'm wondering what's going to happen. How is the addition of Chris Paul going to impact them? Because you almost would have to start Chris Paul. But if you start him, there's a lot of stuff that trickles down.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it's kind of good.
I mean, nonetheless, because I mean, you didn't have the same Jordan Poole that you had the last year that you won the championship. I mean, Jordan Poole last year was not the same dude. So I mean, they're honestly probably looking at it as we're still going to continue to do what we do with Clay, Steph, and Draymond. So I mean, for them, really, they're probably looking at it as anything is better than Jordan Poole at this point. And even if we get a washed up, and I hate to say that against Chris Paul because I like Chris Paul, but let's be honest, his last few months in Phoenix, he looked washed. Like, he looked old. He did not look like the Chris Paul that we've been used to seeing. So I mean, for them, I mean, anything is better than what they have with Jordan Poole at this point.
Yeah. That is true. It's gonna be interesting to see how this ends up going down, because, like I said, I'm looking at this team and solid, but I don't see them winning. I still don't see them winning a championship. I mean, I could see them making the Western Conference Finals and losing in 6.
Yeah,
but I don't. I said this when they made the finals and they lost to Milwaukee. I said after that they only had a 2-year window to be able to capitalize on it, because after that, the cracks that was starting to form in this team was going to start being made public, and guys were going to start getting in their feelings. Which, as much as I love DeAndre Ayton, he low key got his feelings, well, high key,
100%.
You know what I mean? And had DeAndre, if DeAndre Ayton was a little different, he probably would have punched Devin Booker in his face, told KD to get out of here, right? Probably would have slapped Monty, and he would have been on his way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think this team loses in 6 in the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
It's a step in the right direction, but like I said, I think they had their one opportunity to win a championship, but I think they squandered it.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Minnesota's run game has been dog shit, man. I'm telling you, bro. It is insane, bro. That dude Madison, bro, fire him. Like, yo, I've never seen a dude. I'm not even trying to be mean when I say this, but Buddy, he runs the ball like Trent Richardson.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'll say this too, because this is the funny part, and I think this is where Minnesota kind of went off the deep end. Is they forget, albeit Dalvin Cook had some injury history when he first came into the league and whatnot, and even coming out of Florida State, he had some injury issues. He comes into Minnesota, goes to like 4 straight Pro Bowls, multiple 1,000-yard years as far as like rushing, yards from scrimmage, etc. And they had leads, or if Dalvin was out, they were still playing with enough momentum. Everything was clicking enough to where they could be like, you know what, Dalvin, you could be out 3 or 4 games. Madison can carry us for 3 or 4 games, no problem, because a lot of people, they're not really expecting him. They don't have a whole lot of film on him to prepare. Now they have, 3 games into the season. The offense looks like crap. And like you said, he looks like Trent Richardson. He can't run the ball. He's not finding the holes. And let's be honest, the Vikings offensive line, not exactly turning anybody's heads as far as like, damn, that offensive line is really good. So I think, honestly, he was riding Dalvin Cook's coattails. He was a solid back. Everything, and if he's not doing good, okay, Kirk Thuggins can still throw the ball to Justin Jefferson and be fine.
Yeah, and here's my thing with it. Like, I understand they want to be very pass centric. I understand when you have a guy, when you got guys out there who can make plays like wide receivers. You got obviously Justin Jefferson. You got T.J. Hawkinson. I understand that you got Addison, the wide receiver that's actually good, Addison, right?
Jordan.
When you got those Yeah, Jordan said, when you got guys who can do that, I get it, right? I'm with it, and I understand why you want to pass more. I get it, and I'm with it. The reality, though, is there have been multiple times where if they ran the ball just a little bit, they probably would.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to do that. The passing game has been working. The passing game has been working.
Mm-hmm.
But there are moments where they're 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And instead of just running the ball, they don't have faith in him.
Mm-hmm.
And what honestly made me, and mind you, I could tell they weren't really, I knew they really weren't rocking with him and they weren't feeling him like that. When they got to the point that they're straight up, doing 3rd and 1 pass plays.
Yep.
When you're doing 3rd and 1 pass plays, that tells me one or two things. Either you're really trying to spice it up a little bit, or you got no faith at all in your run game. And it showed me they did that when I think it was against the Chargers. 4 straight times on 3rd and 1, they passed.
Even 4th and 1.
Yes, even 4th and 1. What did they do? They passed the ball. They said bump it.
Mm-hmm.
So they go out and get Cam Akers. Tony, I understand. You can't possibly be worse than Madison. You cannot be worse than him. It's impossible. Right. The only way you can be worse than him is if you literally decide to take the snap and run backwards. That's the only way. Cam Akers, how much confidence, or if you have any confidence in him at all, can make this running game at the bare minimum look respectable?
I think it can. I mean, like you said, the passing game has been working. And to me, what really hurts Minnesota, like you said, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they're passing the ball. The other thing for Minnesota, too, you look at the Chargers game, how many chances did they have to win that game? Like, all honesty. Because not only were the Vikings screwing up, but the Chargers are just like, here's the game. Like, no, man, no. Here's the ball. You try to score. No. Quit giving us the ball back. Here's the ball. You go try to score. Like, I feel like this is the Chargers' motto for 2023. No. You take the ball. You score too. Not just us. You too. When you have a running game like that, and even if Cam Akers is, like average, right? Like, not he doesn't have to be like a superstar. He doesn't have to be breaking off like 60-plus yard runs. Just like average. Like an 80 yards a game kind of running back. Like, we'll say 16, 17 carries, like 80 yards, maybe a tutty or two on a good day, right? Like on a highlight day. If they can do that, then Minnesota can at least control the line of scrimmage, and they can control the time of possession, and they can protect leads, or they can eat up drives where it's like, all right, all we got to do is kick a field goal, we at least tie it, or we go into overtime, or we take home the dub. Like, that's all they got to do. And plus I feel like, too, Cam Akers is going to probably the best situation for him because he already has familiarity with the Sean McVay system with Kevin O'Connell being the head coach there. It shouldn't be too far off. So, I mean, I've got pretty good confidence in him. I think it'll help turn stuff around for Minnesota. But the fact that Minnesota's 0-3, they've lost really close games, and to your point, it's not for lack of talent, and it's not for a lack of Kirk Cousins not putting up big numbers. Not getting it done.
Yep, and for me, it just really comes down to when you overly focus on one aspect, it's very difficult to win. And what I mean by that is if you're just a team that just airs it out like that, unless you're having all-time great quarterback, it's eventually going to come back and bite you. If you don't have a run game, it's going to be difficult. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs, before they won their first Super Bowl, kind of plateaued a little bit because they didn't really have a run game, right? Yep. Now they started kind of having a little bit of a balance. Obviously, they're still a pass first type of team, but they had a little bit of variety. Now that kind of was put them over the hump. And for me, look, I don't think Cam Akers is going to be how he was before the injury. But like you said, if Mans can go out there, give him 13 to 17 touches, bring in 70 to 85 yards, like you said, a touchdown on a highlight day, that's all you really need from him. Because they got the offense, more specifically in the passing game, to do something. They have it. It's just once they have it, it's gonna open everything else up. But until they get something in terms of respectable run game, they're gonna keep losing close games. Because just as fast as they're 0-3, they could have been 3-0.
100%.
And that's kind of maybe if they had a run game, maybe we're having a different conversation. Because like you said, they're controlling the line of scrimmage. They got time of possession, under their belt. Who knows? Maybe instead of the Chargers ending with that ball, maybe that touchdown, maybe there's no time for that to happen if they were able to establish some type of run game that could keep them on their offense on the field for long.
Yeah.
So I have confidence in him, in Cam Akers. But again, I'm not asking him to be a superstar.
No.
I'm just asking him, do enough where they kind of have to respect the run.
Yeah.
If you can do that, we're good.
Right.
Last one before we get up out of here. We were texting about this earlier, and then before we got on, we were talking about this. You said you have something interesting to say, and you basically, in essence, you didn't tell me what it was, but you begged me to hear you out, which I will.
I did. And
there is turmoil in the Jets locker room, and they hate the fact that they have to support Zach Wilson. And now a lot of people are calling for Robert Saleh to be fired. Tony, I'm giving you your opportunity, man. Let it all out.
Okay. So for anybody that watches the show pretty frequently, everybody knows I am a massive, and I mean massive, Aaron Rodgers hater. Love nothing more to see that man choke worse than Tony Romo in an NFC Championship game. Just love to see it. Gets me going every single time. But Brian, let me ask you something.
All right.
What have you noticed about? And this is going to take a little bit of a turn. Then we go and get back on the path. What have you noticed about what has Deion Sanders done for Colorado? Like what has it done for the University of Colorado as a whole?
Put them on a pedestal. Like it's got more eyes on them.
Right, and that's because of the prime effect. Because
correct.
With Deion Sanders, with all the publicity, with how good of a individual he is as a coach, as a player, all of that has traveled with him. Therefore, we put Colorado up a little bit higher than what we would have normally put Colorado, than
correct.
What we would have put them on there without Deion, right?
Correct.
Aaron Rodgers has done the exact same thing with the Jets. And I'm going to say this. The Aaron Rodgers effect is a cancer for the New York Jets. And I say this because everything that is wrong with the Jets is the same exact issues they had pre-Aaron Rodgers. It's the same exact issues they had for the 4 seconds that they had Aaron Rodgers. The same exact issues they have now post-Aaron Rodgers. Their offensive line is absolute crap. Now, I know everybody, they're revolting against Zach Wilson. They don't like the fact that Robert Saleh is super loyal to him, the fact that they drafted him in the first round. He's now, 3 years going on to 4 with the team. That was the number 2 overall pick. Everybody except the Jets knows that was an absolute reach, and he was a bust. Pride, if I was, where would you rank the New York Jets offensive line if you had to, out of all 32 teams, where would you put the Jets at line?
Their line?
Yeah.
Can I give you a range?
Sure.
Okay. I would say probably between 20 and 22, if I had to take a guess.
Okay. So according to fantasypros.com, they actually have the Jets right at 21.
Okay.
Now, and I'm like, okay, I kind of see it, but I don't. Now there is another website that has it for kind of what it is currently right now. It's called lineups.com.
Mhm.
Guess where they have the Jets ranked right now?
It's got to be worse then.
They're bottom 5. They're number 27. And the ranking before the 2023 season, 27.
Mm.
And I get a lot of why they have the Jets that low and their offensive line that low.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a absolute crap ton of hate because when Aaron Rodgers was traded, and they're like, "Oh my God, the Jets are going to be favorites to go in the AFC Championship." Like, pump the brakes. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have nearly the offensive line that he had in Green Bay, and it's going to become a problem. And honestly, even with Aaron Rodgers, I think once those struggles started to show, because they haven't been able to run the ball because Breece Hall is questionable, Dalvin Cook is honestly doing, okay for the fact that he has a crap O-line. And then you have Michael Carter. You have a left tackle in Dwayne Brown that's in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Old as dirt. He's decent, but he's not what he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You have Laken Tomlinson, who was a first round pick for Detroit back in 2015.
There you go. I say, what is it? First round Pac-10?
Yeah, first round Pac-10. First round pick for Detroit back in 2015, and is also 31. Was with the Niners for like 4 years, and then signed a $40 million contract with the Jets last year. Then you have Connor McGovern. You have Elijah Vera-Tucker, who is their only bright spot at guard, who now has to move to right tackle because Dwayne Brown has been put on injured reserve. So Mekhi Becton now moves back over to left tackle. And by the way, Mekhi Becton's status is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that's happened with the Jets is something that at least I knew because I don't buy into the Rodgers bullcrap. Everything that was going to happen. Now, all of this being said, this leads to who really needs to take the walk of shame, Zach Wilson or Robert Saleh?
Mm-hmm. I swear to God, man. I swear to God.
What?
I swear to God. I told you I was gonna hear you out, bro. But honestly, I'm disappointed. I hate myself right now, bro. I'm so fucking disappointed.
Hear me out.
Because
what?
Go ahead. I'm here.
No, sorry. I'll hear you out. What you
No.
got?
I want you to finish. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna be honest.
No.
Like the Jets knew what they had. Like the players know what they have with Zach Wilson, right? And let's be honest. When he came back last year, Zach Wilson went 5-4. Now Joe Flacco and Mike White went 1-3, both. So they went 2-6 without Zach Wilson. He came in and took them to 5-4. Now I ain't gonna sit here and say, "Oh my God, Zach Wilson is their savior." Look at what he did. But you're the Jets. You've had issues. You're pretty much trying to do the same exact thing you did before. The only difference is now you have a mid wide receiver 2 in Lazard. You have an old ass Randall Cobb, and you brought Aaron Rodgers basically on board. Like, why are you just now deciding, you know what, we need to lose our minds and we need to revolt against not only the coach, but, Zach Wilson, when Zach Wilson has limitations? Like, he can only do so much to try to overcompensate for the fact that your own line is dog shit. You've done absolutely nothing to fix it through free agency, through draft, nothing to try to fix that offensive line at all. He can't help that if his running backs aren't performing because they don't have any holes to run through, that he can't.
Big pause.
They can't run the ball. So, he's doing everything he can. And with the exception of the Dallas game and, basically the first 3 quarters of the New England game, he started to come back that very end against the Patriots. So I mean, they're close, and they've been close this whole entire time. So it's not like he's been, getting blown out like against the Cowboys the entire time. But what is it really about now that they're like, okay, we need to revolt, we need to have an issue? And because I'm a bit of a smart aleck, and I grew up with the idea of, if you have a problem, you need to try to come to me with some type of a solution. If I'm Coach Saleh, I would look at every single one of those players and say, okay, if you guys are in my spot or you guys are the GM, who do you go try to get right now to come in, try to learn our system that you think is going to make an immediate difference enough to at least, not go as far as the Super Bowl, but at least get us on the cusp, if not in a wild card spot in the playoffs? Because I don't see it. I know a lot of people say Kirk Cousins, but again, let's be honest. You bring Kirk in, it's going to be what? Like 2 weeks before Kirk probably feels even remotely comfortable with the playbook, and then he's going to have to try to build a chemistry with some of the guys, a quarter of the way into the season. Like, is that really going to end well? And you think you're going to be able to make that deep of a run if you have somebody like Kirk Cousins at quarterback? I just don't see it. I don't get why now you're 1-2. You're not completely out of it yet. Like, no, you're not going to go very far with Zach, but the fact that you want to, basically blow everything up 3 games into the season is just, baffling to me. But that's just.
So let me start with the elephant in the room, because you're wondering why they're revolting against him. It's because the kid got worse. Let's get that out the way, effective immediately.
Okay.
Effective immediately.
Okay.
This petulant child has regressed. This is after they told him, look, kid, you were horrible, terrible. You were an embarrassment. Because you want to say he took them to 5-4. He didn't take them to 5-4. That was the defense. Now,
Okay.
the defense started getting nicked and all that stuff. So after he got benched and it was Flacco and it was Mike White, yes, they kind of did start losing a little bit. But they were losing not because of the offense, but it was just because defensively they were losing a lot of their key pieces.
Well, you got to remember, he was actually – so Zach Wilson was out, I think, the first 4 games of last season.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when they were going 2-6. And then he came back. And like you said, he got carried to 5-4 because of the defense.
But what I'm saying, he still got carried.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Then you look at this year. Right? Matter of fact, let me go. Because remember, they said, yo, kids, you need to But they told the kid, you're dog shit.
Right.
We're resetting you.
Okay.
He goes, okay, fine. Let me reset and let me learn. This freaking brain dead moronic idiot got worse. See, we make fun of Dak Prescott when he threw that interception against the Cardinals in triple coverage. This moronic idiot has done that more in 2 weeks than anybody's ever done in their entire career. This kid is out here missing checkdowns. Let me say this one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy cannot execute a check down consistently. I was told this kid had a cannon and all this stuff. Man is out here underthrowing 15-yard routes. They had Buddy mic'd up one day, bro. Robert Saleh tells him to play. Buddy goes to the freaking huddle and goes, what'd he say? And it was so late in the clock that the microphone was cut. And Buddy's looking at everybody. And the linemen are saying, yo, what coach say? And he's looking at them. Looks at Saleh. And Salah is just looking at him like, what's going on? And they get a penalty. He then goes to the sideline. He goes, sorry, coach. I had a brain fart. That's okay. He repeats him the same goddamn play. And this fucking BYU virgin goes back to the huddle. The whistle blows. And this dude, who can't even spell his own goddamn name, goes, I forgot it again. And you see Coach Salah on the sideline cover his mouth and repeat the play. That is 3 times. 3. That is fucking failure. Heard the play. And the freaking waste of space goes, okay. Goes back to, looks at everyone in the huddle. Forgets to play a third goddamn time. So late in the clock that again the mic gets shut off. And Buddy looks back at Coach Salah. And Salah's like, oh, again? Has to call a timeout. So guess who he decided to give the freaking thing to? Guess who he decided to look at and go, no, you're going to call the play. Dalvin Cook. Man went to Dalvin Cook, who just got there about a month ago. Tell him to run this goddamn play, please. Buddy's out here crying on the sideline. Because what's his name? The young receiver, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Garrett Wilson almost punched him in the face. Tell me, what are you doing? I'm wide open. Oh, I'm scared to throw the ball. I refuse under any circumstances. I refuse this. I am not going to sit here and say, well, you know, poor kid. When there are things that this fucking worthless piece of garbage has done that shows a regression. I'm not even a Jets fan, and I'm fucking hot as fuck right now, bro. I'm hot. And I'm not even a Jets fan, bro. I'm glad this happened to the Jets organization because they deserve it.
Well, and I'm not going to lie to you. I do got to ask, and again, it's not me trying to defend Wilson, but this is also a shot at another Aaron Rodgers boy of Nathaniel Hackett. Because we saw the absolute dog shit he did with Russ. Like, Russ used to be a decent quarterback, and now Russ is still having to try to recover from that shit.
Right.
Like Nathaniel Hackett tried to make Blake Bortles look good, and once again, to your point, he got carried by defense, which is the only reason why Jacksonville even went to that AFC Championship against the Patriots. And then he gets saved by, again, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and they're like, oh my God, he's a freaking genius. Not the fact that, again, as much as I even can't stand Aaron, like, oh my God, Nathaniel Hackett's a genius. Look at what he did with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, how much of that is Nate? How much of that is actually Aaron? So to me, we all knew Zach Wilson is a bust. But do you think he got worse because Nat is his offensive coordinator? Because Rodgers is like, look, he's got to be the guy. He absolutely has to be my offensive coordinator, no matter what. Even though it don't make a difference who's calling the plays, I'm still throwing the ball. Like, he's got to be my guy.
I get what you're saying, and I would agree with that statement if this kid didn't get benched heading into the season. Think about it. Go ahead.
But I mean, does that surprise you though? Because I mean, hey, to their credit, they gave him 2 years. Like, here's the keys.
Right, and the kid was a bum, so he got benched. So I can't blame Nathaniel Hackett when this kid has been on the decline since he got in the league.
But my counter to that, okay, not saying you got to turn out to be a star, not even saying you got to turn out to be, the next coming of, whatever.
Right.
But now you're in your third you're in your third year, right? He had a whole basically off season with Aaron. Pick his brain, kind of learn under him. Now it's new, cool, freelancing, smoke whatever the hell Aaron smokes as far as like drugs. So maybe he's a little bit more loose now. He's not got the Brett Favre treatment going.
Right.
Like you mean to tell me that he didn't pick any of that up, and at no point he didn't he hasn't learned, or he didn't even try to learn?
Well, I don't think that he didn't try to learn. He probably did try. Kid's just stupid. That's just it. Like, the kid's just stupid. When it comes to football, the kid's an idiot. That's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it. Listen, I take an IQ test right now. I would even get my own name wrong. And I'm picking up on some of these reads that this kid can't see coming. But I swear to God, I thought he was Sam Darnold, seeing ghosts still. That organization's haunted. Because this dude's still seeing ghosts. I thought Garrett Wilson, I thought he was on the outside. Man ran a fly on the opposite side of the field. What are you doing with your life? Get it together. Man, like, all right, we got Brees Hall. I'm going to hand it off to him. Bro, he's hurt. What? Wait. Who am I handing the ball off to? Bro, you're in shotgun formation with an empty backfield. What do you mean hand the ball off? What do you mean hand the ball off? What you going to do? Snap the ball and hand it back to the center?
No, LaDainian Tomlinson came out of retirement. He's coming back to play for the Jets again.
Lord, I'm telling you this right now, man. That kid is horrible. Zach Wilson is garbage. And I will tell you this right now, and I mean this with every fiber of my being. I swear to God. Who do you think is the best team in the NFL?
The Dolphins.
You want to say the Dolphins? You put Zach Wilson on the Dolphins. They're over. You put Zach Wilson on the 49ers. They are over. You put him on the Eagles. They are over. What other team you want to put him on? I would say the Vikings, but they're already over. The Chargers are 1 and 2, so it's not really the same. But over. You put them on any other team, they're over. Matter of fact, no. We're on it week 3, and somehow they'll be 0 and 4. Well, give them a loss because they got Zach Wilson. So they started from the bottom. Literally.
They're going to lose on the bye week.
That's it. But no, like, this kid is horrible.
So to your point,
there is zero upside to having Zach Wilson on your roster. For every other quarterback in the NFL, I can try to finesse an upside to having him, no matter how great or how bad, whether they're a starter or the third stringer. I can give you a potential upside for him, except for one, Zach Wilson. Buddy doesn't even deserve to be on a practice squad.
Can you do the same for Sam Howell throwing 4 picks last week against Buffalo?
That was embarrassing. I didn't mind it because I had Buffalo on my fantasy team. So I was like, throw another one, bro. I said, throw another one, Brody. I said, go ahead, keep on throwing it, bro. But not for me. Go ahead.
So, but to your question though, who do you, because more than likely at the end of the season, Robert Saleh is getting fired. Like, unless for whatever reason the Jets are Woody Allen in one more time.
I think they'll give him one more year. I think they would want to see Robert Saleh with Aaron Rodgers before anything.
Now the other thing though, do you think Aaron comes back? Like, we know Aaron wants to come back. Like every quarterback wants to keep playing. But do you think that he's going to be going on to 41, coming off of a Achilles injury? Do you think he's going to even still be able to play? And do you think if he's not, then that costs Saleh his job?
Well, here's the thing. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't go back to the Jets, it won't be because of Robert Saleh.
Right.
It'll be because he can't play.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not going to be because of Saleh deal. No, it would purely be because he's injured.
Right. So then I think you're going to have to look and see who would be available. Like, are you comfortable? Like, me personally, if you really think you want to, if you really think you have a chance, go ahead, go for Kirk Cousins. I'm looking more at a Gardner Minshew because you're not going to be able to go get a franchise guy, but I think right now you need a stopgap guy. and Gardner Minshew is a perfect stopgap guy. You got to bring somebody in, somebody relatively cheap, someone on a team friendly deal, obviously. But me personally, I'm getting rid of Zach Wilson. He's the first one I'm getting rid of. And Taylor Heineke, that's another one. I wouldn't mind Taylor Heineke there either.
Like,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
But let's be honest too, though. You know, Indy ain't going to give up Minshew right now, only because Richardson is hurt and because he just beat.
I'll be right back.
All right. I mean, that's true.
Like if I'm Indy, I'm like, yeah,
that
I
is
ain't gonna
true.
give you up.
I'm not getting rid of him.
No,
like, if I'm Indy, I always want to have a backup quarterback.
Now, I will say, too, though, Pride, I saw a TikTok earlier of actually there is one man. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. He's a Super Bowl winner. Carried a team to absolute victory against one of the greatest teams in the last 20 years.
So I want you to say his entire name when you speak on him. Say his entire name.
Hold on. I gotta make sure that I get his full name because I know his nickname. I gotta get his full actual
Thomas name. Edward Patrick Brady.
No, even better. His name is Big Dick Nicholas Edward Foles.
I wouldn't get Nick Foles. I wouldn't. I was
saying
Foles.
He had magic with Philly. Magic with Philly.
I mean, don't get it twisted. Right. Like, yes, he had magic. I'm not gonna, I ain't gonna poop. But I don't know, man. I'm looking at a 34-year-old who hasn't really played a lick at all.
But at the end of the day, him or Zach Wilson.
You got the juice. You got the juice. You got it. You got the juice. I feel like you got the juice.
It's like
you're not wrong. You got it.
Like, I mean, he went 1-0. Well, no, yeah, he went 1-0 with Chicago when he started in 2021. I mean, you could do it.
Yeah, bro. It's for me, bro. It's like listen. Before I do anything with Saleh, because obviously I'm upset with Robert Saleh because he obviously drafted or he wanted Zach Wilson, right? So
here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Do you think it was Robert Saleh or do you honestly think it was like Woody Allen? Because we've seen like coaches want somebody different, and then the owner's like, nah. Because look at Robert Flores. He didn't want Tua. He wanted Justin Herbert. I mean, obviously,
right.
You can't really go wrong with either one. But that's who he wanted. But Tua is who he's got. Do you think Woody potentially did the same thing? Because he's like, man, look at this like perfect poster American kid out of, like you said, Virgin BYU. I know he's got the name the MILF Hunter. That's just a cute little nickname that he'll grow out of. He's gonna be the next Joe Namath. He's playable. He's a player.
Right. But here's the thing. Right? Here's where I push back on that, right? Because you've seen what he's done. Mm-hmm. The same offseason that you tell this kid he's gonna bench, you let Mike White go to the Dolphins.
Yep. And then you immediately made Denver Broncos.
And you immediately made, oh my God, that woof. But you immediately made Zach Wilson your backup. Immediately off the rip. So again, you're giving him opportunity after opportunity when this kid has been showing you nonstop that he is a prostitute because he loves to sell himself. Mm-hmm. That's it. So for me, it's like, no, I personally don't. No, I think Robert Saleh had a lot to do with him. I genuinely believe so. Mm-hmm. And that's why I personally believe Robert Saleh eventually is he gonna have to answer to that for that? Probably, but I do think they'll probably move on from it. In terms of when I say they, I mean the Jets. They'll move on from it if with Aaron Rodgers he can have some type of legitimate success.
Yeah.
Like if you can do that, I think they'll brush it. Okay, hey, everyone makes mistakes. I mean, hey, for crying out loud, that same year Kyle Shanahan took Trey Lance.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Like in that instance, you know, I get it to an extent. Why they're kind of giving him an extra year to like, all right, let's get Aaron Rodgers next year and let's talk about it, blah blah blah. But dude, it's burn that franchise to the ground, bro.
I'm not gonna lie either. I do kind of feel bad for them because there's really nobody. Like looking at the free agents right now, like you tell me if there's any names that stand out that you're like, you know what, they ought to at least kick the tires on. So you've got Carson Wentz.
I mean, I
But
would.
you got to think too. He wasn't, and I'm not gonna say he wasn't good in Indy because statistically he was actually good in Indy.
He was solid.
But he was toxic in the locker room, and dude always complains about he's supposedly hurt when dude is like perfectly fine. But he's basically your like youngest, like at one point a true proven veteran. Like he's the youngest dude you could go out and get as it currently stands right now. Your next would be Matt Ryan.
No,
Colt McCoy.
maybe.
They did reach out back to Joe Flacco about potentially coming back.
No,
You've got Big Dick Nick.
no,
You've got Chase Daniel.
no,
Trevor Siemian has been there and started for them
No.
before.
yeah, he's dog shit. No,
And then honestly, after that, I mean, you've got Jeff Driscoll. No. Brett Ripon. No. And I mean, you got Trace McSorley. So I mean, if he can rekindle a little bit of that Trace McSorley magic from Penn State, but
throw it on a dime like I ain't even tried. Just a kid from Briarwood. I'm wearing number
number
9.
9.
Yeah,
Or-
that joint is a banger.
Or you've got the Italian stallion himself in Ben DiNucci from Denver. Like
It's a me, Alberto Danucci.
Like that.
I mean, look, for me, but this is what I'm saying something, bro. This is what I'm saying. I would not go to the free agent class unless you're just trying to find a stopgap guy for this year. But that's what I'm saying. Like me personally, I'm honestly having a conversation with Aaron Rodgers and like probably December. I'm gonna ask him, how are you? If it's not encouraging, I'm telling him, bro, just give it up. Because it's getting to a point where now we need to figure something out. We gotta make it. And then they might have to go make a trade for a guy like Kirk Cousins. Maybe they have to make a trade. Maybe after 1 year, maybe the Saints aren't really that into Derek Carr anymore. And maybe he could be on the move. Maybe Russ needs a new place. You know what I mean? Same thing with Deshaun. Maybe, well, not Deshaun because that money is a lot. And I'll
say yeah, Deshaun not going to.
So, yeah, and plus, he'll end up doing his own thing. But I mean, maybe Russ can go over there and they can figure it out. I mean, I do think there are viable options for the Jets to make a trade and will a deal for a quarterback. And that's the route I would go. But you got to have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers to figure out, do you think he'll be back? Because if you don't think he'll be back realistically, and not just back, you need to be back and actually playing right. I don't want you coming back dragging your foot.
Right. Well, here's the other thing though that I would counter that with, that honestly to me puts the Jets in kind of a bad spot. And honestly, it's going to sound crazy, but if I'm the Jets, I would very, very strongly consider it, just because I feel like for the overall length of the franchise, it's better. If I'm the Jets, if I don't sit there and say we need to lose the next, because they're 1-2 right now?
Yes.
They need to lose the next 14 games and ensure they have whatever tiebreaker they need to have over honestly, as much as I hate to say it, Chicago and Arizona right now to try and get the number 1 overall pick, if not at minimum a top 5 draft pick.
So
Like
what
you
you're
said-
saying, is bump it. Let's roll out the worst team we possibly can.
Yep.
Let's get a top 5 pick. Maybe we get a quarterback because supposedly Caleb Williams is supposed to be looking all good, even though, but I mean, maybe
got
that.
Williams, you've got Michael Penix up in Washington, who I think Michael Penix is really good.
I mean, bump that noise. Bump that noise. If you're the Jets, why drop the quarterback?
That's right.
Like, think about it. If you got that faith in Aaron Rodgers and you're just gonna sell out for that, I mean, wouldn't it just make sense for you just to say bump it? We're gonna go all in this year.
Well, here's the thing. So here's where I would still say. Here's where I would still say tank for 2, because it would give you 2 possible outcomes. Okay.
Uh-huh.
1, if you tank, let's say hypothetically, like you said, they call Aaron Rodgers in like December. Aaron's like, man, it's not looking good. I don't know if this is going to happen. Okay. Now you've secured a top 5 draft pick. You can, at minimum, if you want to, you can see if, okay, hey, do we think there is 1 to 5 guys that could potentially be our franchise starting quarterback for years to come, because now we are actually in a good position to where we can take him. He's got a good young team around him. We can build off of this, right? Now, on the other hand, let's say Aaron Rodgers, come December, he's like, man, I'm feeling good. Like, I'm moving like how I used to. Like, no difference. Like, I'll be ready for next year. Let's run it back one more time. Okay, now you can do one of 2 things. You could either go get you another top wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers to be able to throw to. You could get one of the best offensive linemen in the draft to give him more protection, which you should. Or, third option, depending on where you land, you could say, okay, hey, whoever wants the number 2 overall pick, let's say they land number 2, how much you want to give me in order to get it. You then stockpile on picks, and then you continue to build your team young and through the draft and inexpensive. Because like you said with veterans, to me, whether it's Russ, whether it's Kirk, whether it's I'm trying to think of who else would potentially be tradable that people may or may not even want to move off of. I don't even know. But nonetheless, if you're wanting to move off your veteran quarterback, most of those teams probably going to be asking what? 2nd, 3rd round pick, maybe even a 1st, depending on what they have tied into them as far as getting rid of them goes. So, I mean, it honestly, to me, I would look more just towards the draft, because I don't see it in free agency, like you said, unless you want a shortstop guy to just try to do something. If you think that you have truly enough there that you can put anybody that's a significant upgrade over Wilson in, and you'll be fine. And I don't see really giving up a lot to try to get a veteran that's probably going to be potentially older and hasn't been able to do it with other super talented teams. And I don't think you're going to be that good than where you can do it now, if that makes sense.
I mean, I get it, to be honest. I mean, you are in an awkward situation, but the reality is like, yeah, I mean, all this really is contingent on how he feels. And when I say he, I mean Aaron Rodgers. It really is contingent on how he feels, because the reality of the situation is, if he doesn't feel good, you might just say bump it, and you might just say bump it and go get a quarterback. What if, maybe here's another thing also to consider. Oh, this dude's a weirdo, bro. I'm done with Twitter. Tyreek Hill a weirdo, bro, and I mean that with all the disrespect. But anyways, the reality is, bro, is like, maybe if let's say they stink it up, right, and they get the 3rd overall pick. If you flip that third overall pick, someone because we've seen it before, they'll trade the third and still get 2 first-rounders for that. You know what I mean? They'll get like a four, like just something like that.
Yeah.
Now,
stockpile.
Right, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Jets are in a real fuck situation. Because think about it, regardless of what they do, they're wrong.
Oh yeah. Well, because you're a just talented enough and just good enough team that you probably won't be able to tank enough to beat out like the Cardinals, the Bears, anybody like that. Like you're not that bad, but you're not that good, and you're not good enough to be in the playoffs.
Exactly. So it's like they're kind of in this awkward situation where, think about it too, you're also running on borrowed time because a lot of the youngsters are already getting, Sauce Gardner's getting fed up, Garrett Wilson's getting fed up. You got some of your key young guys already getting fed up. Already. They're running low on time. Thank God that's not my franchise.
Yeah.
Thank God that is not my franchise. T-Dog, got any final words before we head up out of here?
No, man. It's been a blast. I know we were able to have Mike for like 5 minutes. He didn't really say a whole lot, but we have Mike.
Because
Mike,
you don't fuck with us, that's why.
We love you. We miss you, or at least I do. I don't know about Pride.
I do.
Rob, love and miss you too.
Facts, bro. Facts. As always, yo, much love. Take care of each other because you don't know when's the last time you're going to see each other. Damn, I got dark and morbid fast. Holy shit, I think I'm drunk.
I was like, God damn, we had a funeral.
God, what is wrong with me?
We had a funeral.
There's a lot wrong with me. But,
you know what it is? You know what it is?
What is it?
It's dark and depressing because it's at a funeral because it's the death of the Jets organization. And
You're right.
Rodgers' Achilles.
You're right. It is. Rip. Gong. But
you know what I'm gonna be mad about though? I'm gonna be mad about. I know this is super random. I'm gonna be mad if Aaron Rodgers comes out with like the Undertaker gong, just like as he comes back.
I'll laugh.
So pissed. I'm gonna be so pissed.
I'll laugh. That'd be hilarious. I know Mike was here, so on behalf of Mike, on behalf of Tony, it is your boy Proud. We'll be back here whenever to talk more shit about your favorite team and why they suck. Until then, y'all know what to do. Be safe.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.